Hello, everybody, and welcome. Today, we are getting into the spooky spirit together with Craftsy. Craftsy is bringing you 5 full days of sweet treats and spine-tingling crafts that are perfect for a frightfully fun time. So every day this week, our instructors are demonstrating some new Halloween-inspired projects. You're going to want to make sure to download your free patterns by clicking the link in the description. And then once you get to the patterns page, click on the picture of the project it is that you would like to download. Now, before we get into today's project, a couple things I want to draw your attention to. First, and very exciting, we are giving away a free Craftsy Gold membership. All you have to do to enter is text Halloween to 52056 to enter. So that's a text line, and you will text Halloween to 52056. We will be contacting a winner after the series ends, so make sure that you enter with that text by October 9th. And you'll be getting that free Craftsy Gold membership. If you win, it's a really great prize, so definitely get in on that and text Halloween to 52056. And then finally from me, my whole purpose for being here is to help you ask your questions as things go through. So while we're demonstrating, our wonderful instructor is going to be showing you today's demonstration, and I will be keeping an eye on the chat box. So I want to draw your attention to that. It will be below your video player if you're watching on the website, or you can use the chat on Facebook and YouTube, depending on where you are joining us from. And of course, we love to see where you're viewing from. Send a hello into the chat box. Let us know where you're watching from, maybe some Halloween ideas that you already have that you're noodling on. I know we love to talk about that with the community. If you have any questions that are about the demonstration, I will get those in as soon as I have the opportunity to make sure that you have the best experience with that demo today. But if you have more general questions, get those into the chat box as well. We usually have time to get to those at the end of the demonstration. So without further ado, it is time to bring on today's instructor. Our project is very exciting. She's always fantastic at coaching us through it. It is Steffen. Emily, welcome so much. Thank you for joining us. I'm going to have you start us off with a little intro about you and then what we're doing today.
Awesome. I'm so excited because Halloween is one of my family's favorite times of the year. Not because we're like the spooky, gory family, but because of the creativity. Like honestly, when else as an adult or as a kid are you allowed, well, kids are all the time, but allowed to dress up as something you've always dreamed of being. But my name's Emily, and I run a blog and a shop and a little studio outside of my house, and I just love to make things. So I feel like any excuse for any holiday or any birthday or anything, we're making in our house all the time. And there's paint constantly going on the walls, and there's a project at the kitchen counter all the time. My husband has learned to live with glue guns plugged in nonstop. So today we're gonna do something that I hope you love, because my kids love this project. I've done it for multiple different holidays, and so this is great for Halloween because you can kind of customize it and make it fun. But we're making surprise balls, and you're like, what the heck is a surprise ball? Well, let me tell you. A surprise ball can be anything, of course, that you want it to be inside, but my mother-in-law is like the queen of giving my kids homemade goodies and treats and snacks and sugary things, so which I love, and I'm not the mom that's against candy. However, this is a fun alternative to give your kids or your neighbor or your best friend a fun surprise that isn't edible. I mean, maybe you could put chocolate in the middle, but that might be melty by the time you deliver it. So I'm going to show you, we have 4 designs here. We have look at this little guy. He's the spider. We have a pumpkin, a bat, and a mummy. And so these, of course, like the fun thing about these that I love is that you can make them as big as these ones are. These are kind of big just because I have a lot of fun things stuffed in here for my kids. You can make them smaller so they could be place settings, maybe at like a Halloween dinner or something. They could be even bigger and you can hide them around your house. Like the sky's the limit for these. And actually I just made one for a friend of mine that I sent in the mail. They just moved, and I put gift cards and little like notes inside, and it ended up being like probably, kickball size by the time my kids and I were done, and we started with the box in the middle, and we just wrapped and wrapped and wrapped and wrapped, and it was really fun. So the idea is to make them surprises and to just have fun with it. So I'm excited to show you how to make them.
All right. Well, we have a couple hellos coming in, but no questions just yet. So while Emily goes into her demonstration, if you have any brilliant ideas for where you would be using today's project, I know we love to hear those. So start dropping those in the chat box as well. But Emily's going to get us started here.
Awesome. So, okay, another thing I feel like I do have to ask Leah if this is okay, because I love this. We were just having a conversation before we started our live about Halloween costumes. And I love to find out what people are dressing up or dressing your kids up for Halloween. So jot those in the comments, because I feel like it's really fun to have a roundup so we can, and heck, we're a creative community, so we can bounce ideas off each other if we're stuck on something. But okay, so there's 4 different ideas that I have for these surprise balls to make them spooky and kind of scary, like the bat. Look at its wings go back and forth. And all of these are available, like the actual template for the bat wings and the template for the stem of the pumpkin are available on the PDF of the pattern, along with all the written instructions. So if you're feeling stuck on something later on, if you end up doing this later, for sure refer to those instructions, and those can be downloaded in the description. But I'm gonna demonstrate from start to finish one of them, and I'm gonna do the pumpkin because I think he's really cute. And he offers a lot of personability for his face. So the thing that you need, there's a couple things you need to think about when you're making these surprise balls. And the first thing is the middle. So like I said before, we just made one for one of my friends that moved across the country, and we started with a box. And obviously that's like more square or rectangular. And it's okay because you're just going to be wrapping and wrapping. But I'm also today going to be starting with this cute little cat plushie because this is for my daughter, and it's, I don't know, plushie I found. So the thing that I often do, because I know that my kids love these, is when I'm shopping, like end of season or something, and there's little trinkets or things that I know that I can throw, kind of like how you shop for stocking stuffers. I just throw them in and then throw them in a drawer. So I don't honestly remember where these came from, but she loves plushies. So I think this is a fun little thing that she'll open. So the middle is what you're thinking about right now. I'm going to start with this cat. It's just a plushie thing. It doesn't have to be round. I have a bouncy ball inside of this one. That's really fun too. Like the dollar spot at Target is a really great way to shop for them. And all you're going to start doing, this is crepe paper. And you can find this at any store, of course. It's, it's like the birthday party paper that you twist up and hang from your chandelier or your entryway or above your, door or something. And all you're going to do is start wrapping. And there's a few tips I have for you when you're wrapping. Often crepe paper does have a front and a back. This one is kind of obvious just because it's gold, and I couldn't find orange, so we're making gold pumpkins today. And all you're gonna do is start wrapping. Now, while you're wrapping, you will notice that if you start wrapping with your crepe paper on the table and you keep wrapping, and you're gonna wrap a couple times this way, and then you're gonna switch and wrap a couple times this way, all of a sudden, you're gonna start getting all these twists and turns, and it's gonna be one of the most obnoxious things in the world to have to keep untwisting it. So in order for that not to happen, and this can be tricky, is to put your ball of crepe paper on the table so it rolls with you. You just have to be careful that it does not roll off the table, because that's when you're chasing it across your dining room and things can get crazy. But that's all right. Crafting can be crazy sometimes. All I'm doing though is wrapping a couple times this way, and then I'm going to kind of move it and go a couple times this way. And the cool thing about crepe paper, if you can tell, is that it has this really cool like bumpy texture. And as I'm wrapping, I'm also just pulling slightly. Now obviously it's paper, so if you pull really hard, it's going to rip, which is not the end of the world, because trust me, your kids are going to rip it while they're taking it apart, or your neighbor's going to rip it while they're taking it apart anyway, and you can just keep wrapping. Sometimes I'll even fold it and then start going this way. And this is not circular because the cat or whatever this was that I started off with was not circular, and that's okay. It can end up being an oval. It can end up being just have a little ridges. The only thing you're going to be fighting against as you're wrapping is obviously this is a straight strip, so it has corners like these. It's kind of hard to see, but they kind of have a little bit of corners when you're wrapping. And so what I like to do is to know where to wrap next is just to cover the corners. So I just wrap this side and it's kind of smooth, and then I'm going to keep going. And now I'm going to wrap this other side before my crepe paper goes off the table. See what I mean by the corners? There's some corners here. Now, if you end up with not a perfectly circular or smooth end product, that's completely fine, because these ones are kind of big. And they did require, you know, probably 4, 5, 6 minutes of wrapping. And if you don't have that kind of time, it's totally fine. Trust me, people who get these aren't gonna care if they're perfect or not. It's more the thought that counts. But first step is literally to wrap your heart out and just keep wrapping and keep going forever and ever. And as I'm doing that, I'm tugging on my crepe paper. And see, we're kind of starting to get there. We're starting to get into this round ball. You can stop whenever you want. You know, another thing I thought about as I was making these is how cute would these be to make for teachers too, because I feel like sometimes all these little holidays can be a moment to say thank you to teachers. My kids are in that age of school where I'm like, wow, these teachers are just incredible for teaching them all the things, and I love it. So this would also be a fun thing, maybe include a gift card. So as you are making it, so I'm pausing because I'm gonna throw a dollar bill in here. I waited until I got the center of it filled a little bit, and now I'm gonna throw a dollar bill. You could throw a $10 bill, you could throw a $2 bill, you could throw a gift card if it's for a teacher or your best friend. You could throw a note that says, I will take you to Dairy Queen, or, you know, a coupon or something like that. Probably once you get started, every, I don't know, 6, 7, 10, 12 wraps, I'm gonna pause and add something fun. So this is one of those like slap bracelets, and this one's for my daughter. So here, I'm gonna just wrap it right around. And the chunkier of something that you add, the more like you might have to add more crepe paper to smooth it out if you're really concerned about that. So the surprise part of these surprise balls is that as they're unrolling and unwrapping, they just keep seeing these fun things that you have personally picked out for them that hopefully make them feel special. And I'm kind of nearing the end here. And you can kind of see, you know, when you're nearing the end a little bit. You can probably hear my crepe paper crunching. Also, do you notice that I'm matching? I didn't notice until I got here that this is almost the same color as my shirt. Okay.
Emily, you should have just let us believe that was on purpose because it looked so intentional.
I should have. Those are the moments in life where I'm like, oh man, wow, it looks like I'm really good at planning. And I should just roll with it. The cool thing too that I'm actually noticing as I'm doing this one, this pumpkin, he's a lot more like round. This one is a lot more flat. So maybe this is like a gourd, or he can be like one of those Cinderella pumpkins, you know, that are really cool, that I feel like are really hard to find. One thing I'm noticing, this is just one of those tips. Do you see how there's like a lot more of these corners? I'm going to try and smooth that out just by doing one sort of ring, or maybe two. I'm gonna do two, just to smooth that out a little bit. Again, if you don't care about what it looks like, then don't worry about that, but I'm just gonna try and make it look smooth and happy and pretty, because why not? Another thing too, if you're really struggling on making it smooth, another tip would be, if you wanna just cut this off, put a dab of glue. This is just an alternative way. This makes the experience of opening it a little bit different, but it will still work and it will still be fun and the surprises will still be there. Put a dab of glue and then start again so that you're not worried about how you're kind of changing directions to make it happen. That's another alternative idea. Actually, I'm gonna throw one more slap bracelet in this way. And some of it's like, all right, will this work? Sure. Stickers are a fun idea. Temporary tattoos are a fun idea. At Valentine's Day, oftentimes I will get a box of Valentines and write, like, I did this last year for my kids, like a puzzle code So you could do that for Halloween too. You know, like maybe cut out a bunch of little shapes of a pumpkin or a ghost and write a letter on each one of them, and maybe they have to unscramble the words or something to make it say, I love you, or I don't know, we're going to a Packer game or something. That's my son would love that. This would be like half surprise, half fun time, maybe.
We have a viewer out here that is thinking about making these for their soccer team out in California. So Natalie, that is a great idea.
That's an awesome idea. It's a good non-candy treat for kids too, honestly.
Yeah. And like the theme could be, you know, for your team and things that the team likes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, these are circles. So obviously like baseball, soccer, you could even make them football-y and make them into a helmet, I guess, if you really want to. But like I said, we do them so many holidays because why not? Why not? And I was saying earlier too, as I was talking to someone, truthfully, in the grand scheme of life, these are a really inexpensive way to celebrate because the crepe paper is, I don't know, a couple dollars if you can't find it at the dollar store. At like, you know, a Target or a Walmart, it's a couple bucks. And then anything you decide to put in it shouldn't be, I mean, unless you're like buying tickets to a sporting event, shouldn't be a ton of money. So it's more about the fun and the making people feel special that I think is super cool. Okay, I'm nearing the end of my crepe paper, so I'm just gonna call it good when I'm done. And I mean, put on your favorite movie because heck, you could do this all day.
I was thinking about that. This is a great multitasking or sitting outside as the weather is nice and chilly, got that little brisk in the air and just do this.
Yep. It's kind of mesmerizing and a little bit of a challenge to see like, where can I wrap next to make it smooth and pretty, right? And the thing too about this pumpkin shape, if you're feeling intimidated by the whole wrapping process, the pumpkins naturally have these lines that go up and down, so you don't even have to overthink that part, right? Just wrap, and if you do end up having some square edges or square lines, it is not the end of the world because that's what a pumpkin looks like. Kind of like how this, you know, bumpy section is right here. I am not going to overthink it. Sometimes I think in crafting, we are too hard on ourselves. When in reality, it's the fun of making and the fun of giving and the fun of just doing that is fun. Okay, this is where we're landing right now. So is it perfectly circle? No. But is it going to work? Absolutely. Because I want it to work. And I think, here, I'm going to rewrap this one section though. I think it's awesome. So all I do to finish it off is add a dab of glue. This is like this really tacky glue that I think is magic. I tend to not use hot glue because hot glue, I feel like, is basically just like melted plastic, which is amazing for holding other projects in place. But since this is just paper, there's just no need for that. And it is really just kind of thick and chunky, and I don't think it's necessary. So on your template, after you have everything, of course, wrapped and it looks amazing, and maybe you want to wrap all of them at the same time and set them aside, one thing I did not do, I have 2 kids, one thing I did not do, I did not label which one was which kid, so it'll really be a surprise when they open them, because I don't remember what I wrapped in some of these, because I just got to wrapping and wasn't really paying attention. I had my pile for one kid, and so maybe we might have to do some trading after they wrap everything. But on your template that you will have a couple different things for each, and it will have the instructions, of course. But for the pumpkin, we're going to want to make the stem. So the stem is just right here up top. And I wanted to make the stem, you know, kind of cute and flush right to the top. And then, of course, we're going to do our eyes and face. You can make your eyes and face anything you want. If you're feeling like you want a scary pumpkin or a surprised pumpkin or a super weird pumpkin or a zigzaggy mouth pumpkin or a pumpkin with no nose or a pumpkin with the eyeballs going in opposite directions, whatever you want your pumpkin to be, I'm only supplying the template for the stem because I want you to be able to see how the stem is glued on the top right here. And this is how the template is. If you're a tracer with the pencil first, trace it with the pencil and then cut it out, but I'm just a cutter because I just am. So I just chose a color, like a brownish color, a craft color that was similar to a top shape and something that went with the color of my gold pumpkin. So all I'm doing is cutting this guy out. And when I tell people to cut, I tell them, move your paper, not your scissors, which is kind of confusing, but if you move your paper instead of your scissors, I feel like it's easier to cut intricate things. And this is probably not gonna bend as well by itself. So again, on the template, this dotted line is where it'll be folded and the solid lines are where you're gonna cut. So you're just gonna cut 2 slits, follow the solid lines, and that's gonna make it easier to fold. I'm just folding these little flaps so that it can go right on top. Now, of course, when you're printing your templates, you can, in the print, the little printing menu, you can decide to size up or size down the paper. When you like zoom in to 200% or 700% or whatever it is to make them bigger. Because of course, if you're making a huge one, you'll want to make your pumpkin top bigger, or maybe you don't even want to use the template and you want to make your own. That's fine too, but just know that that's an option. If you're making these smaller or bigger, you can print them with that sort of screen, your printing screen. And then all I'm going to do is glue my top on with my glue, dot, dot, dot. And I always tell students, dot, dot, not a lot, because then it's not squishing out the side. I'm sure if you have kids, they've heard that before. Okay, so here we have our pumpkin stem. I mean, this is looking very adorable already. And then all I'm gonna do is use some black and white paper to make some eyeballs. So I like to make my eyeballs with a black circle and a white catch light. A catch light is like when you're drawing or painting, that like white part in your eyeball that makes it look not creepy like in the iris of your eye, but like the light of your eye. Like it looks alive and happy. So 2 same size-ish circles, and then hole punch. Use a hole punch to punch out some white catch lights. 1, 2. I'm just gonna cut out an extra one just because. Ta-da! I don't feel like I've ever used a hole punch as like a real hole punch. It's always for this, like projects. And then just dot, 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 not a lot, remember? Here we go. And then put these in here, and this is where you can decide, hey, I want my eyeballs to be cross-eyed so they can go other way, or that I want to be looking this way, or I want them to be looking super sad and they're going to be looking down or away, or they can be googly eyes, however you want them to be. I want to cut out a nose, so I'm just going to do like the kind of typical, oh here, look, maybe his eyeballs are going to be between his nose. And then I'm going to do a face, or a little mouth, excuse me. And knowing that I don't have a ton of space because my pumpkin isn't as tall as this one, remember, I'm going to just do like a kind of a flat smile. So, and I promise you, if you Google pumpkin faces, you will find more pumpkin faces than you know what to do with. There we go. He has a little tooth. Ta-da! Maybe his nose should actually be up. Or maybe it's down, I don't know. So there's my pumpkin face. And all I'm gonna do is glue them on. And this is also, if you're like, no, I don't wanna do a face, you can do your kid's name. You can do your neighbor's name. You can do a little message that clues them into what this is. Open me and you'll find things that made me think about you. I don't know, whatever you wanna do can totally work and make this special or personalized. There's his eyeballs, and then his nose. This is a really simple idea that I hope that you can take and run. I'm going to move his eyeball over. Ta-da! and make it
While
personalized.
Emily's finishing gluing here, I'm going to jump in really quickly. It does look like we are going to have time for some more of those general questions. We already do have one in that we'll get to at the end of today's project. But if you have any questions about what Emily has shown us so far, go ahead and drop those into the chat box as well. We're going to have a little bit of time to talk through some of these ideas. You can also share your ideas. We love to do that too.
So I finished my little face. Ta-da! He's cute.
I love the crooked smile.
I know. Everybody has a crooked smile once in a while. So, okay, so this is the idea of the pumpkin, right? And like I said, you can customize it and personalize it. Maybe you want to add like a curly Q pipe cleaner that has a tag with the person's name on it. Or maybe you want to just, I don't know, write a note off of the top. Whatever you want to do to make these special is like, literally, I hope this inspires you to make these amazing and special. I'm going to quickly, super quickly, and if you have any questions about any of these, I want you to pipe in now because I would love to answer them if you're looking over the PDF. But I want to show you this bat is the same thing as the pumpkin, except for we added the wings so we can flap. And these wings are also available on the PDF template, and it's pretty, again, self-explanatory. Cut out each wing, and then you're just going to glue them on. And the bat can flap away. You can put a tag on it or a note. This one is one of my favorites. Look at him. He looks like he'd walk across the table right to you. But again, it's the same thing. You're just gonna wrap and wrap and wrap and wrap your things inside. This one actually has a bouncy ball inside, so it's kind of heavy. It's kind of cool. And then add eyeballs. And then all these are strips of paper. These are just strips of paper. And I just glued them right underneath and then folded so that it looks like, because of course the body can't hover, so the body will sit on the table and then these legs look like they're kind of walking out to you. But the next one that I do want to actually show a little bit more step by step is the mummy, as it does feel a little confusing because you're adding 2 different colors of crepe paper or whatever to make this work. So I started that one and I want to show you how I finish it. So I wrapped and wrapped and wrapped, and this might be a little hard to see because it's white on white, but see, it's just a wrapped and wrapped and wrapped ball. And all I'm going to do is stop my white when I get kind of near the end. Whoops. And then of course,
Emily, what kind of glue are you using? Priya would like to know.
Oh yeah, this is just Aleene's clear tacky glue. It's oh my gosh, it's the same. So there's a kind of glue that I don't know the actual terminology and it's blanking me right now. That's basically kind of like a school glue. And Aleene's tacky glue is like a school glue, but it's like it's thicker and stickier. And I love it for these projects because it doesn't, unlike hot glue can be like a clump or a chunk, and this is still like an easy glue that dries clear and kind of can smooth with the surface, like a school glue. You know, you can like smear a school glue. This is like that, but it's thicker and tackier. I love this Aleene's brand. They have clear and regular white, and I just feel like I always have it on hand. I mean, you could honestly probably use whatever. So then I will tear a piece of my black, because of course when you're making the mummy, his eyeballs have to look like they're kind of descending. So I cut a little bit too much. So I'm just going to lay a piece of black and then come back with my white. And I'm actually gonna tack it down again. And you're just gonna cover part of your black and probably only do like another, I don't know, 6 to 7, 5 to 6. We'll count 1, 2, 3, maybe it's gonna be more than that, 4. Wow! And I'm wrapping, and see how I covered the bottom here, and then I'm gonna end up wrapping by covering the top. So we just have this like little peekaboo eyeball situation. So I'm gonna wrap this, and you can still kind of see through it. So I wanna do 2 coats or 2 wraps of it. You even could do 3 because you can still kind of see through it. But there we go. So he's not quite all finished on the bottom, but that's okay. So I'm going to add another little bit of glue. I just wanted to show you that peekaboo through part because that can kind of be confusing. Even though I tried to photograph it and make it look easy to follow on those instructions, it still maybe can be confusing. So then you're left with, look at this little like, I don't know, recessed, it looks like a recessed part of its head, you know, like a mummy would. And then you can just add your eyeballs. Whoopsies. Or maybe he's a one-eyed, I don't know, a one-eyed mummy.
Oh, while you're gluing the eyes in, Liz says that she's missed the beginning of the demonstration that you're giving us. So what is in the middle? Can you refresh us? How do you start these surprise balls?
Yes.
What do you put in the middle?
That is a super good question. So Liz, the middle can be anything you want it to be in theory, right? So just keep that in mind. There's no like perfect thing that makes it in the middle. For this one right here, this is a little squishy, like a little tiny plush thing that I know my daughter will love. This one is a bouncy ball. This one is another plush. I think another one of these is a bouncy ball. What you could do that I have done before, you could wad up a bunch of money and make it in the middle. You honestly could, if you really wanted to, I'll show you how to do that. You could start with nothing in the middle. So how to do that is you would just kind of make wad up and just start. Now, of course, you would end up using a lot more tissue paper or crepe paper in the long run because you're filling the inside. So I really do like starting with something in the middle. At the very beginning of the show, I did also mention that we just sent a huge box of, or not, it wasn't even that big. It was like, you know, like I think we had gotten cookies in it. So it was like a box that was maybe like 5 by 5 full of just some little trinkets and things to send to some friends that just moved across the country. So that was square, like that was a square box we started with. And the crepe paper surprise box ended up probably being the size of a kickball, or excuse me, surprise ball ended up being about the size of a kickball when we were all said and done. But it honestly, whatever you start with, you're just gonna wrap and wrap and wrap. And I like wrapping like probably 2, 3, 4 times in one direction and then move a little bit to the left or right and move. And all you're gonna do is kind of overlay, you can see this a little bit, you're just overlaying the crepe paper over and over. You see the little like parts that are laid over top of each other, over and over and over again until you keep getting the size you want or the shape you want, because if you're going to turn it into something, yeah, so it kind of doesn't super duper matter what you start with in the middle as long as it's something. And even if you have something, it's okay to start with just crepe paper. Let me know if that doesn't answer your question, because that was kind of a long-winded answer, I understand. But yeah, I think these are really fun. I mean, honestly, play with these. And the thing, I know I say this every single time, but the thing I love about crafting something like this is I love the idea of, as you're making something, thinking about that person and just like knowing that they're going to be opening this and loving hopefully everything you've picked out for them. Because I mean, you know, when you give something to your kids, their eyes are lighting up and it's like this super fun experience for them to be unwrapping a gift or unraveling something. And that's all these really are, just unraveling something with special little notes or trinkets. The one question I do have though, Leah, that maybe we can ask is, every time I do these, I'm always like, oh, is there something that I could be missing that would be really good for a surprise ball? Because I've used like tickets, little handwritten notes. Like I said, last year for Valentine's Day, I put little letters together in here and my son spelled something out. I did buy these, whatever the heck these are, the little poppy dealy things, and thought that could be really fun. So if there's anything small,
what do you think
tattoos
about Minecraft bees? Because that just dropped in.
Oh,
I'm familiar with that.
There we go. I mean, that's just it. Is like, I'm sure there's a million of these ideas that are special to your kid or friend or neighbor that like I'm not even thinking of. Like that would be so fun because, and money. I mean, my kids still think that dollar bills are like practically $1 million. So I'm thankful and I'm okay handing out a couple times. Maybe when they get to like the teenage years and they're maybe needing more like 20s or 50s, this is not going to be happening, but $1 are fine.
Perfect. Well, we don't have any questions about the project that are left.
Yeah.
So I wanted to open the floor. We do have one general question that we can get to right away. But before I ask for any final questions for Emily that we can get to more generally, quick reminder, please do not forget that we are giving away that free Craftsy Gold membership. So especially if you weren't with us at the top of the hour, the way you're going to get entered for that is to text the word Halloween to 52056, and we will be contacting a winner after this week's series ends. So you have until October 9th to text Halloween to 52056, and a very exciting free Craftsy Gold membership could be yours. Highly valuable, I would say. Lots of stuff like what Emily has demonstrated, but so much more besides. So definitely get that text in by the end of the week. October 9th, that's going to be your last day to have that in. All right, Emily, are you ready for a more general question?
Yes.
All right, so we're staying on theme with autumn. So one of our viewers out there, Donna, is crocheting an autumnal wreath. So a little less spooky, a little more autumn flavored, but she wants to put some leaves on it, and the leaves in the 2 stores that are near her are all out. So she's asking what you would suggest to add to it short of silk flowers. So like, what are some thoughts that you could have for her?
Okay, so that is awesome. I made last year one of my favorite things. It's still a leaf, but I'm a fan of felt. I love felt because you don't have to sew felt, because you can just cut felt. And last year I actually made a garland at our house by braiding some just like strand of, I don't know, rope I found, like, you know, just rope. And then I cut out some leaves out of felt, and then I hot glued those on. And the cool thing was, this is what I loved about it. You can find felt in almost any color. And the cool thing about felt is you can get like heathered felt, which means it's like flecked a little bit, which I feel like is so fall and so cozy looking. So I had like some orange flecks and some yellow flecks, and all I did was hot glue them. And I liked also, the other thing I loved about it was that the way, because felt isn't like super thick, but it also isn't super thin that you just like lose the shape and it kind of like falls over. But so like it like draped really cool. So if you're feeling like you want to add a little bit more fun and pizzazz to your craft, I would totally encourage you to stick with the leaf idea, but maybe cut some out. And they weren't hard because leaves are not symmetrical, so they don't have to be perfect. Like, I mean, literally I was like, like an oak leaf sort of, and it was not symmetrical on both sides, and all I left was like a little stem in the middle, which was easy to hot glue that part, and then it fell. So that would be super cool. I've also seen at the, like, at like a local dollar thing, or like even the dollar spot at Target, they also have like those mini pumpkins, like the little, like, I don't think they're styrofoam. I think they're like plastic or something maybe. And I feel like they're often in the craft, like, they're craft paper. They're like, when you like paper mache, they're like mini craft paper pumpkins, and they're like in a package of, I don't know, 6 or 8, and those could be really cute, and you could paint them whatever color you wanted to.
Ooh,
which would be
fantastic
really
ideas here. If anybody else watching has some ideas, maybe something you've worked with, let Donna know in the comments. We'll keep that going. I did want to mention that one of our viewers, Kristen, dropped in the Halloween costume idea. So Kristen says we are going to be one-eyed, one-horned, flying purple people eaters.
Oh my word! I feel like I need to see a picture of that. Kristen, if you're posting it on social media, I need to see that. Send it, because I haven't even heard that song forever. I forgot that song existed, but that's brilliant.
So Emily, you said social media. Where can people find you on social media?
Yeah.
You always post fun things, so let's get them involved.
Yes. Okay. So on all of my social media handles, I'm Ohyay Studio, OHYAY Studio, and I do lots of things on social media.
Oh my goodness, I can vouch. Her social media is so pleasing to watch. The painting, the crafts like this, lots of fun ideas. And you always pick really fun music for the backgrounds of things too. So definitely check her out at Ohyay Studio. I am going to take the time now, Emily, to just turn it over to you for some final thoughts. We've reached the end of our questions here. Lots of thank yous coming in. So I think a lot of our viewers are going to be doing this project.
Awesome. I'm so excited that I inspired you. And I always feel like my goal of these live events is to kind of give you an idea, and then hopefully just like throw out all the tips and tricks, and then you guys run with it. And I love hearing how you're going to use them, or I hope that it inspires you to make them personal for your kids or family or friends, because the best part of crafting and DIYs is the creative community. So I love that people are saying thank you, and hopefully you're going to make them. But more than anything, I hope that you just play around and have fun this Halloween season. I know for myself, I feel like fall can be bananas busy because all the things are starting in school and sports and the things, and it makes you want to go crazy. But I hope that you can take 10 minutes to sit down and make, not even if it's not even a surprise ball, but just something for yourself, because we all know that crafting is soothing and relaxing and fun, and I hope that it just inspires you and energizes you like today did, hopefully.
Well, we got one more comment that just dropped in. It looks like Designed by Megan is going to try a vampire with a cape, which sounds very exciting, and we would love to see it. And actually, for anybody out there that wants to share your projects with us, we would love to see them. So if you make any of the projects today or anything from this week that you want to share with the community, use the hashtag on social media, share Craftsy. So we love to see the little twists that all of you put on these projects. They're so fun to kind of collect. And again, that hashtag is share Craftsy. Please use it. Let us see what you have going on as you make these projects at home. Now, a couple reminders from me before we say goodbye for today. Again, that free Craftsy Gold membership is up for grabs, and all you have to do to enter is text Halloween to 52056, and we will be contacting a winner after this week's series ends. Make sure to send that text by October 9th so that you have your chance at that free Craftsy Gold membership. Now tomorrow, heads up, little change for the time. It's not the same time tomorrow. We will be starting at 11 o'clock a.m. Central Time for tomorrow's live event, and we will be streaming live with Rachel Tufel, and she's going to be providing a live tutorial on making a bouquet of Halloween cake pops. So delicious and fun. And you can download the materials list and instructions right now using the link in the description, so you'll be ready for tomorrow's event. You can also find the entire mini-series schedule in the video description. So until then, happy crafting, and hopefully we will see you tomorrow.